Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Star Trek Fleet Command. Your mission: to gather materials and resources, build a base, train a crew, and launch powerful ships. To forge an alliance and grow strong together. To boldly play how no one has played before.
Greetings everybody, Admiral Neelix here, and welcome to Server021. In this video, I'm going to kind of reiterate some of the stuff that I talked about in What's Armada U, the previous video to this. And of course, we're going to go through the crazy, wacky world of figuring out officers' crews for the Stella. Keep in mind that those of you who are new to the game and are just about to get the Stella or have just gotten the Stella, we're going to open up in there this rogue store. I'm going to come back to factions to show you that real quick. And come down here to Outlaw Recruit. Now, as you first start getting into this, you're going to start out with one officer, maybe two. If memory serves, I think you start out with two. And then when you grow up in a rep level with this faction, you'll get a couple more officers, and so on and so on and so on, until you get Mud, Harry Mudd, and Eurydice. These are all the officers available in that particular faction. So we're going to come back, and while I'm doing this, I'd like to thank all the viewers, all the subscribers, and everybody who's commented and been kind enough to send questions that I might be able to answer in video and so on. I've tried to answer everybody. I think I did. But yes, thank you for keeping this station alive. Thank you. You're awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this wacky, crazy world of Stella. Okay, so those officers I just showed you in the Rogue Store, you'll notice that I'm only going to talk about 4 of them right now. And the 4 of these have something to do or help the best with a Exchange Armada. And we're going to go ahead and talk about Mudd. Mudd as captain, what she does is she raises her own stats by 150% when she's captain. And let me show you something real quick. I want you to notice, we'll just jump onto the top number there, her attack, 4945, right? Just to show you, remember that, 4,945. I'm going to place her as here, and we're going to go to her info again. Her attack went down to 3992. So when they talk about raising their own stats, that's what they mean, attack, defense, and health, okay? So now we have that set up. We're going to jump onto her officer ability, Fatal Charm. At the start of combat, Mudd has a 40% chance of increasing the damage dealt by the ship by 300% of the total attack of all officers on board that ship during for the whole combat. Now, because she raises her own stats, she's also able to use some of that Fatal Charm to help kill these armadas. And of course, as the least captain ability for these armadas would be her. But she works very well in those lower levels. And what I mean by that is in the Exchange Armadas, you're going to see level 27 uncommon first, and then you're going to grow up to, I think, 30, and then maybe 33, and then there's going to be a rare equivalent to that, and then as you go a little higher, there should be a epic going in there. So I'm going to say roughly, as far as the uncommons go, I believe she works well up to 35, if I'm not mistaken. But that also depends on the strength of your ship, how much research you've done, your bottom row, and all that, and who's supporting her. But I've been able to use my second Stella. At the time, it was level tier 4, level 20. I was getting ready to scrap it, but I wanted it to have one last hurrah before I scrapped it. So I used this crew, and I think I was able to kill that 35 uncommon pretty easy. And that was a solo. It wasn't with a group. It was just me by myself. So we're going to go to Avix. When fighting Eclipse hostiles, including Armada targets, for the first 3 rounds of combat, Avix increases the chances of a critical hit by 20%. Okay, so she's going to try to find some criticals to throw at you, and there's only a 20% chance of her finding that. That's if she's captain. If she is the officer, which I have her here, when fighting Eclipse hostiles, including Armadas, Avix has a 40% chance to decrease the shield deflection, armor, and dodge of the opponent by 40%. Now, one of the things I want you to notice here, in both of those abilities, it says Eclipse hostile, including Armada targets. That they are talking about the Exchange Armadas, okay? Or as we lovingly call them, Stella Armadas. Yeah, whoever came up with that, shake your hand. All right. So we're going to go on to Sisha. Always on guard. If the opponent is an Eclipse hostile, including Armada targets, Sisha has a 20% chance to reduce the opponent's critical hit chance by 15%. So the other one is giving, this one is taking that. You see that? You see how they're kind of circling each other and working that out? That's her captain maneuver. Intimidation for the first 3 rounds of combat when fighting Eclipse hostiles, including Armada or targets. Targets. Why am I saying that? Oh, okay. Anyway, Sisha increases the critical damage bonus of the ship by 70%. So again, at your lower levels, at the lower levels of those particular armadas, let's say you're the host of a bigger armada, or just in another armada with your big ship, with your big Stella, and somebody else in the team decides to start one at the same time with the lower level ones, but there's not a lot of help going their way, and you have a second Stella, throw this crew on there and go to it. Help them out. Now, let's say you're done with this mud and with Row Mud, and you finally get Young Mud here. Pop him in that seat. His ability, the ultimate con. When the ship takes damage from an Armada target weapon attack, Harry Mud decreases the weapon damage of that Armada target by 10% for this round. Okay. This guy has the ability to do certain things, but why him? Because of that 10%, there's also his ability down here. When the ship's shield health is depleted, Harry Mud increases the weapon damage of the ship by 300% for the rest of the combat. The shields are depleted. The ship's getting ready to explode. He's got a ham sandwich in his hand. He's going to throw that ham sandwich at you. Hopefully, you know, to slap you in the face with it and give you one last punch in the gut there. Okay. Let me tell you something about this particular Harry Mud. Besides that, it doesn't say that he's specific to an armada. You can use him on other armadas as well. Build him up, get his levels up and numbers up and all that, and you can probably use him in the higher armadas as well. Think of him as maybe a third crew if you are using 3 ships in a solo armada, or if your whole team can end up taking all 3 arms of the formation armada. You know that you can put a ship in each one. If you don't have enough people to fill in 4 ships each slot, then use 3 of your own ships as if you were doing a solo armada. You can have Mud on there if you don't have somebody better at the time. So from me to you, there you go. But there's more. This particular character here, let's say you have a warship that is around 4 million power, and that weird named it's a bunch of Latin words. It's an event where you have to go to Sol, to Kronos, or to Romulus to go kill big level 49 ships, and maybe you can't kill level 49 yet. So let's give you a little help here. First of all, at a million points, if you have Pike, Moreau, and Chen, you can kill the regular level 49s. But there's some in there that say heavy on them. So to kill one of those at a time, Beverly Crusher, Honor Guard Worf, and Harry Mud, or this particular Mud here, Young Mud. Have them on there. You'll have a way better chance to possibly and kill one of the heavy ones. I don't know why it doesn't work on the regular ones, but on the heavy ones you can kill one. Go repair. Do that about 3 or 4 times, and you're done with that event. You get all that extra latinum. Again, a gift from me to you. And thank you, whoever brought that up to me. I believe it was. I want to say it was Wolf Maximus that brought that up to me. So thank you for that. Okay. He's another player in my server. All right. So we talked about the basic crew that you have here. Starting out, you'll use the Mud Company, and then you'll start getting onto bigger and better things. So let's go ahead and erase these crew out of here so that I can make room for the next people I'm going to talk about, which is Kirk. And we're going to put in his buddy Spock. And I'm going to put in Leslie to start with. Leslie is the lowest form of these. If you don't have them, then Gala will be, of course, in that seat. However, Leslie comes from the Shakedown crew that you pay, I believe, $20 in the store just to get those officers. And there's some pulls for a couple of them in the officer store now. It's a special part of it. You can get them through events also to help them grow. I do have a video based on them called the Shakedown Breakdown that should be on my playlist if you want to go check that out. Maybe I'll put a link into the description. But this is the beginning of the officers that absolutely make no sense as to why they are Armada officers. Okay, especially this guy. We're going to go into Leslie Mudd here. For Captain Maneuver, which I think comes into play during this whole thing because his other maneuver has nothing to do with Armadas at all. But as long as the ship's whole health is under 35% of its own of its value at the beginning of combat, Leslie restores it by 5% at the end of each round. So he's basically just keeping your ship alive by that much, to where now you really can't do anything in that system. Now you gotta have to take your ship home and take the time to repair it and then bring it back. Why? Okay, anyways, his battleship trainer, Frank Leslie, increases the ship experience gained on battleships by 40% each turn. How in the world does any of that have to do with helping Armadas? I don't know. It's a Scopely thing. Glitch maybe? I don't know. And of course we have Kirk as leader with morale and inspiration, you know, to do all that, and then Spock uses that morale to help things. But his illogical as an officer, while the ship has morale that Kirk obviously gave him, Spock restores shield health to an amount equal to 750% of the defense of the officers on the ship. Now, it doesn't specify what you're fighting to get this. You can use him as a PvP, you can use him as a PvE, Armadas against Reds, whatever. If he's the bridge officer, not the captain, this is going to come into play. Okay, so that's like the only one logically that I can think that is actually in the Armada thing. But let's go ahead and check Kirk's anyway. As leader, as long as the ship has morale, Kirk gives officers of the ship a bonus of 40. So he's feeding into Spock. So basically it's Spock doing all the work on that. All right, so there's Leslie. Gala, you will get within the first few levels that you are playing on the side there. Let's go into her meaningless captain attribute there. She's captain. Gala increases the par steal rewards for defeating a hostile 25%. So if it's a ship, a red, that you're fighting that offers par steal as a drop, you get extra. That's basically all that. Well, that's it. That's all it is. If the opponent is a hostile, Gala decreases the damage from the critical hits by 50%. So any of the criticals that the Armada is hitting you with, they are now cut in half. So that's a big deal, even though it kind of doesn't make sense, but it does. That's what she is providing. Now, she is also great as part of the Cardassian Armada crew, which can be with who you see there, Kirk and Spock, or maybe other officers that are specific or built better for Cardassian fights. So that's Gala. You will automatically get her even if you don't get Leslie. She's just part of the game. Now, the best of best. Kirk, Spock, and Khan. Khan, ruthless mastermind. Captain maneuvers when attacking a station. Khan has 50% chances of drastically reducing the mitigation of all opponent ships and defense platforms for 2 rounds. That's why he's great at raiding, because he lowers all the mitigation abilities of the ships that might be in dock, including the space docks. I mean the weaponry there. Savage tenacity as an officer. Every time the ship is hit by a ship or defense platform weapon attack, Khan increases the critical hit chances by 5%. Now, Armadas, are they bases or are they ships? Because you'll see some of them that look like ships, and you'll see some of them that kind of frankly look like a base. But nevertheless, it's an enemy attacking him, so that's why he's got this 5% here. So that's Khan adding to the mix of the Kirk and Spock, dealing with that and killing that Armada easily. Now, let's say you're using that particular crew as the host of the Armada. Let's also say that you are able to solo kill that Armada. And now you have a group of people joining you, and the win is guaranteed because you can kill it by yourself. You're just going to have some extra people there that some may die, they all may die, or whatever, but you're guaranteeing that win to get that loot. Let's move him here. Let's go ahead and add her, and as we know, she adds 5 of 11 increases the amount of resources for your ship received by the hostiles, right? By 60%. So that's going to be a bigger loot drop for everybody if you have everybody else, not you as the host, but everybody else who joins you, have her in there to gain a little more loot. Now let's go ahead and make it even better and put Jordy in there because he does that. In the mind's eye, Jordy, nope, that's the wrong one. Jordy LaForge increases rewards of your ships that your ships receives from defeating armadas by 50%. So where do we want him? We want him there. And who would I put here? Probably Khan. No, you know what? Spock. Put Spock there. But put Jordy as your captain, 5 of 11 in the officer seat, along with Spock. Use those as your looting crew so that everybody benefits from it while you're killing that armada. Does that make sense? I think it does. All right, now, let me go ahead and replace these guys, put them here. I often tell my crew to use mostly health on the bottom if they have it, on the bottom deck to build up the ability to kill those armadas, because if you keep the ship healthy, it's a better chance for it to beat these armadas. And some of them don't know what I'm talking about, so here we go. Right above Nero, who I have highlighted here, you'll see the word strength. When you tap that word strength, you're going to see all these lovely words here. What I'm going to find is the one that says health. Under health, your bottom row now, the bottom of the screen, they are all lined up from how strong they are health-wise to how maybe not as strong as they are down the line. So I'm going to start knocking in, and I want you to pay attention to health here on the right under attack, defense, and health. You're going to see that number grow a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and tap all of the officers that have to do with health and put them in there, and yada and yada and yada, right? My health just grew up to 107,000 points. Okay, that is a very, very strong ship to kill these armadas with. Of course, your Stella in the beginning levels aren't going to have all those seats available, but you are going to eventually max that ship. And as I encourage you to get a second Stella, you're going to eventually use the max Stella for the armadas, for killing the Reds during the Apex events and such. And you're going to use that second Stella to just keep building up to a certain point, which I recommend tier 4, level 20. Just keep building it up to that and scrapping there. Once you reach level 20, do not tear it up again. Do not add any more components to it. Just max that out all the way to level 20, scrap, redo and scrap, redo and scrap, redo and scrap. That way, while the other, by the Max Stella, while the Max Stella is gaining all the rare and epic uranium, along with all the regular uranium, you're gaining all those points to do research on your Stella. Okay, and that is in the upgrade area. You can come here and you can find the research button, and it'll take you to this area, and it'll lead you with what you should be working on. And then of course you go find what's available. Like in this case, I have highway robbery ready to go. I can probably do that here in a little bit, but not to bore you anymore, that is going to be the end of this video. And again, thank you for watching. I am now going to go grab a bite to eat. So everybody, until next time, live long, prosper, have fun, and take care.